Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Lawanda.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ron.
And today we are here to discuss the season finale of one of our favorite shows, the hottest one that we have been recapping for months now. This is Raising Kanan. And this episode was titled Paid in Full. So, I mean, it was a lot going on this episode. We can't wait to get into it. We're already amped up. So
Right.
let's go ahead and run our intro so we can get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Hang tight.
Louisiana where the last one burned you. Know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. So you can't trust that
All right, everyone, we are back. Like I said, we are talking Raising Kanan. This is the finale of the first season. And I just want to say, like, round of applause to all the cast and crew involved. This was a phenomenal introductory season. I have been thoroughly enjoying it, and I think that they left us on a good note for next season. So I'm excited to continue on this show. But let's get started on this episode.
I was just gonna say I wanted to piggyback on what you said because this season has been so solid and the acting has been so awesome. I was like, we gotta tag Emmys when we put this post out because every single one of them, especially Tina Miller and Mackay and Haley, all of them should be acknowledged at the Emmy Awards. They absolutely deserve it.
No, so deserving.
So I wanted to bring up, because of where they left us last week, I wanted to bring up Kanan and this jacket.
Howard.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. Detective Howard.
Detective Howard. So we see that he didn't take that second shot.
I told you.
So we didn't do that. He didn't do that. So he of course we know Kanan is just famous for screwing things up. And when he ran away with the jacket still on, because my thought on episode 9 is that he would take it off and leave it at the crime scene. So I'm thinking this is another bonehead move he's making by running away with the jacket, and in some instances it is. However, once again, my man Lou.
Well, if he had left it there, I mean, what's it called? Ended up planting it later, so I think that was part of the plan.
No, I'm saying based on what I knew the last episode, we thought it would have been a good idea to leave it there. Now we find out that no, it wasn't. That it wasn't a bonehead move after all. No, he running away in the jacket. It proved to be a better move, all because of the
optics, because people were able to say, "Oh, that jacket was so recognizable."
Right, the crackhead seen him with the jacket on. He strategically ran across the bodega cameras with his hood on, so that all they seen was the jacket.
Right. So
that crackhead is hilarious.
Right.
He has been. Look, make him a season regular. Bring him back next season, because he is hilarious.
Yeah. But I think Kanan made some very critical mistakes along the way when he was running out, because he tripped and fell, got his hands all bloody.
Yep. DNA. That's DNA at the scene.
And I know this was in the early
print or something.
Exactly. And I know this was in the early 90s, and DNA was kind of still in its infancy, but it was still something that was developing, so they could still get the DNA. And lo and behold, it was probably the same blood that they seen on the jacket.
I was starting to say,
picked up the jacket and they were like, this got blood on it. I'm like, I mean, I know shooting Howard, when you shoot somebody, you can get some back splatter on you.
Right.
But I'm thinking more than likely that was Kanan's own blood on that jacket.
And I was saying
that because he seemed like he kind of wiped himself off.
Yeah, I was hoping that it wasn't his blood.
I think it is.
But then again, like you said, it being in the 90s, and also the police are pretty much convinced that they got their man, and so they probably, well, I guess you would have to test it anyway for forensics, but they feel as though they got their man. So,
That was a prediction that we had, though. Didn't we say that they were going to frame Unique and they were going to run down on Unique? That was the one thing that we were right about this episode.
Yeah, I actually kind of felt bad for Unique for getting arrested in front of his girl and his kid for something he really didn't do this time. So the way Marvin went up in there and planted that jacket, he was smooth with it.
Marvin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
He got
for
caught
a
up in
second, I
something.
thought he was going to get caught. I really thought that Unique was going to walk in while he was in there for a second, but he got out in the nick of time.
Mhm.
And Unique already knew Rock was doing something.
Oh, he
shady.
knew it.
Yeah, he recognized it when his guy came and said, everybody on the street saying, it might be you. So he
Mhm.
was like hot at that point because he was like, "What? I've been here all night. Everybody know that I wouldn't do that to no cop. I'm not trying to mess up business for
He ain't
myself."
That's why he was trying to get out of Dodge. He just,
And it looked so bad to get caught trying to leave with the jacket.
yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It was the worst. And I guess the crazy part is like how the whole he predicted, kind of saying the city is gonna burn tonight because the cops was out. The block was truly hot. I mean, they were pulling people off the street randomly, searching the apartments, floor by floor. And it turns out that Rock's plan to kind of like build in that kind of 2-level apartment drop was a really smart thing, because as they searched the 7th floor, they worked their way up to the 8th, and she's dropping stuff back down
in the oven.
So-
And that oven drop, I thought that was priceless. To
yeah,
use
that was
the
kind
oven
of
to drop
masterful.
That was it. I said, Rock is smart. I
Yeah.
was like, that was a good plan. Because when they pulled up, she was like in her house clothes and, she
Cooking
was like,
dinner.
like a resident and stuff. I was like, she's a G for real.
Yes.
She's a boss.
Yes, indeed. And so it was just interesting to see Rock maneuver all of these things that went wrong this episode. Because we seen that Scrap came and picked up Kanan. And it was supposed to be Marvin, but Marvin cracked the joke saying Rock had me on something else that involved 2 eyes. I'm like, he wrong for that.
He wrong for that. But you see that now that there was mutual respect between Scrap and Kanan too. So that was good to see as well.
Yeah, I love that he finally made amends and apologized, because he was dead wrong.
He was dead wrong.
And he, like he admitted, he said, you're a straight G, and he respected Scrappy a lot.
He was like, you're the realest one out here.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Scrappy in return, because it took for someone 15, 16 years old to off the cop like that, it takes balls. And
when Scrap figured out that he had killed a cop, he was like, "Oh, it's like that."
Yeah. And you see that Kanan was ready to pull up on whoever. He didn't even know who it was. He just knew that his mom asked him to do it. It was somebody who was coming after them, and he felt like he was protecting his family. But I felt like Jukebox is the one with that's the voice of reason. Like when she talks to him, I was like, wow, she's just wise beyond her years. Like she just sees the board, the world, everything so clearly.
Yeah, because I mean, it's very I think like just growing up in that kind of environment kind of ages you a little bit. You get wise beyond your years, and she seems like she really put Kane in his place by saying, like, you don't even know yourself right now.
She's like, we kids.
Exactly.
We don't know, and we playing in this grown folks game. She knew, like, we're being used as pawns, and we're being made into people before we even know who we really are.
Exactly.
So I was just like, wow. I was like, that dialogue was so powerful and stuff. And I was like, wow.
Because it's true. I mean, they really don't have the luxury of just dusting off their mistakes and moving on.
Yeah, because she can see that they're being manipulated, and Kanan doesn't see it. Kanan thinks that he's being included, right? He thinks he's being included, but she sees very clearly they're being manipulated. They're being used as pawns, and that Rock is just kind of moving them around to suit her needs, so to speak, whereas Kanan is really thinking that his mom is including him and allowing him to step up and to be a part of something and taking it almost as an honor. And not understanding that he's being played, just like everybody
else. Because she was like, she got us. And she was like, she just had you hit a cop.
Exactly.
And women tend to be a lot more mature at that age than men and young men. And it shows dramatically here because she was just dropping a lot of gold nuggets and almost like in a preaching format. I'm like, she told, said a lot of good things to him, and none of it seems to stick. Kanan, he's not listening to that. He just wants to be inclusive and he wants to be in the
I think he heard her though, because he respects Jukebox and her opinion, even if he has to take a minute for it to really register, but he respects her opinion. So I think he will hear her. I don't know if he, like you said, the maturity, if he'll fully get it yet.
Well, by the end of the episode, we talked about this offline. We heard 50's narration, and he was kind of saying, like, don't trust anyone, not even your own mother.
Yeah.
And so I think that, like, older 50 that's narrating the show, he got the point. And so it may have taken younger Kanan to some time to get there, but eventually he gets the point.
Oh, he'll get it, especially when he finds out that he was hoodwinked into shooting his own dad.
Yeah, now that's the part that's going to be interesting, because we've seen the new captain that has come in. They are kind of understanding, as like the police force, the extent of his injuries. He had to get, part of his one liver removed.
No, half his liver.
His spleen.
One lung, yeah, and half of his liver. So, wow.
And on top of that, having leukemia with the rare blood type. And so I think that it's gonna, the fact that he lives, and it looked like they were questioning him at the end, like, who shot you? Who shot you? And I don't think he's gonna snitch.
He's gonna use it as probably as leverage. And I think, and I don't know if they're gonna do this, but I was like, they might let the streets think that he's dead so that he can recover. And then I think he's gonna come back like boom.
Okay, that's a good prediction. I can see that happening.
Yeah, I think they're gonna because I think he's gonna tell them. I think they're gonna now he's like, okay, I see you, Rock.
So he can't die.
I think he's gonna go after her, and they might play the role. I'm like, okay, this is how we gonna play it. We're gonna let her think that she won, that you're dead, and he gonna recoup, and they gonna try to take her down.
Yes.
What was funny was when Kanan gets back and she's asking Rock, Rock is asking Kanan, well, did you do what I told you? And he's going, yeah, and how many?
I shot him 3 times,
right.
or maybe 2.
Maybe
3.
Right. Well, which was it, 2 or 3?
How about only once?
One time. So it's going to be interesting when she finds out, that he did not, again, follow through with a very simple plan.
She shouldn't have put him in that position anyway.
Exactly. That was not a position you would put your 15-year-old. And that's what so is amazing to me with Rock in this whole series, because she, and we're going to get to the other part of Rock with Symphony, but it's this so-called love that she has, but she has no problems with putting the very people that she loves in harm's way. And she does it time and time again, and no remorse.
And how about that little conversation she had with Lulu? Because Lulu leaves the hospital, and he goes to kind of check Rock and try to see what's going on. And he's basically telling her, like, why did you do all this? You just made it worse for us. And he's telling her, like, after I just went out, like, I don't blame him for being fed up with her.
No.
Right.
But she seemingly made a threat to him, like, you want out, there is no way out. And it seemed like at that point I looked at her, I could see Rock taking Lulu
pulling the trigger. She could, or
yes.
She would pull the trigger on Jessica, because she said everything you have, belongs to me too. So I was like, and Jessica is in his ear saying, "Oh, you don't need this. We got the label." If Jessica becomes a distraction, becomes a problem, I think Rock will make sure that she exits stage left.
Particularly now that he included her in this, right? Because he didn't necessarily have to share this information. He didn't tell her directly, but she knows enough to know that Rock had something to do with this cop being shot. And I don't know that was smart on his part to include her in that.
No,
I don't think so either. And I think it wasn't smart for him to, I don't know how Rock, I know she knows about him making the payments for the studio or whatever, but I didn't know that she was aware that he had assumed ownership of it. And so I think that's a detail Lulu probably should have kept away from her too. Yeah, because now that he's trying to be independent, she's like, no, that's mine too.
And she smartly played that against him too, because like she said, where did the money come from? So
yeah, you're like, you're using dirty money.
Yeah,
so anything you touch. Anything you touch is dirty.
It's going to be dirty. So, this isn't clean by any standards.
But I don't know if they necessarily necessarily saw the turn in her, because up until this point, they're in it together. They're family, right?
Mhm.
And even though she had the leadership role, I don't necessarily think that Lulu saw her turn, right? To where it was more about her. You know what I mean? I think when you're in it, you can say or rationalize it to say, okay, well, we can ice out Marvin because he made a mistake. And his mistake was going to get us all in trouble. I don't necessarily think Lulu was seeing her saying, no, it's me and y'all are working for me.
Right. They all thought that, like you said with Kanan, like thought that they were a team, that they were in it together. And now they're seeing like, oh no, there really is like, there's this hierarchy is more defined than we think it is. You know, she really is trying to be at the top of the food chain, and we are her minions. It's not a partnership really at all.
No, and she kind of said that like when she was at Lou's bedside last week, you know, and she was just like, oh, they forgot who I was. And I'm about to show them. So I was like, oh Lord, I knew that she was getting ready to really turn up.
Yeah, and you know, let famous song. We heard that it was already playing in another car.
Yes, now, season 2, he's gonna be on. He's gonna be on. Streets Need a Body,
and it might be his.
Right. It might be his.
I mean, he is just making the block hotter and hotter with that song as it gets more popular. What's that wrong?
What about Detective Shannon? I mean, you know, because they're around. I mean, Burke, yeah. They're rounding up everybody in the street, and so she runs across Jukebox, and the initial thought was to take her in, and you know, the other police officer wanted to check her bag, but you know, Jukebox just said, you know, go home. Streets aren't safe for you. So, is she really trying to build this relationship with Jukebox? And at what cost is she doing this? Because that's the part.
She cares about her, but it's still a self-serving relationship.
Right.
So more usury. I think she thinks she can soften Jukebox enough to get what she wants.
Oh yeah, because you've seen the other cop trying to like violate her privacy and go and look at her note or whatever. She's like, no, don't do
She's
that.
like, you don't need that. So she was trying to protect Jukebox, and the look in her face did look like she was a little concerned for Jukebox too. And she's like, you know, get home. It's not really good to be out here right now. So I do think that she at least feels sorry for her or whatever.
But when it comes down to it, business is business. You know, she said, I got a job to do.
She said, I'm a cop. Right. You know.
Yeah. So, and then, you know.
Oh, no, I you know, I'm just thinking about, again, even in that situation, Jukebox knew exactly what to say and what not to say, right? So I can see how she may end up becoming a cop because she sees the advantage of maybe being on that side.
Yes.
As opposed to being on the side of the villain, that's one way that she could protect herself. Because you think about it, she's a 15-year-old girl, very vulnerable in a situation of, I was wondering where she was going. What home was she going to, right? Because you think about her having these clothes in her backpack. Are they hers? Does she have a place to stay? You know?
That was for Kanan.
It was for Kanan.
Right.
I remembered that, but I was thinking it was almost like, where is she going? Because the last we saw of her, she's getting into this heated argument with her father. And so very vulnerable in a situation being used by her aunt. I don't know. It's almost like she's probably realized she's gonna have to take care of herself. And so what's the best way to be? It's better to be a dirty cop than to be a drug dealer on the street.
Yeah, because because she can help them from the inside. Yeah, because she can tip them off and everything, and just hide in plain sight.
Yeah, hide in plain sight, but it's probably in this situation is the place where she could protect herself most.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought about Juliana too. She held it down this week.
I mean, she did. I said the same thing. I was like, no, Juliana is really like, let me find out she's gonna end up being a boss.
Right, yeah, she was really solid. And you know, Rock kind of fed her the story, told her what to do, and she nailed it to a T. So she was very convincing.
Yeah, because it would have been a whole different story if that police officer had gone back into that room where Kanan and Jukebox were holed up. So she played that very, just the way Rock told her to. And Rock's a very intelligent black boss, female.
Yes.
I mean, she is. I mean, it's just
She
so.
is a G. She is a
Mhm.
It's
G.
the thing, but that's how people get caught up by thinking that they're smarter than they really are. Because if you think about it,
Yes.
what's Juliana's weakness? Her husband was just murdered, right? So when people start investigating you, and then you start seeing all of these coincidences, right? When, like, cause you don't think about it, that they investigate witnesses too. So they'll take a really hard look at her, and then they'll start to think, well, that's interesting, because Unique, what his story is gonna be. I didn't do this. I was set up by Rock, right? And so they're gonna have to take a look at everybody involved, including the witnesses, and that is Juliana's weakness.
And you notice that the crackhead kept saying it looked like it was a kid or whatever. Like the fact that Kanan is still a kid makes a difference. Like it wasn't a grown man that was seen in that jacket, and he might be on crack, but he still can see.
Right,
Totally.
physical differences.
Yeah, but
Unique
then
is a little taller, a little thinner than Kanan.
Yeah, because he said
he's
something
definitely
about
tall. He's definitely taller than Kanan.
who Unique is. Yeah, and he said initially 6'2", and then he said,
he's 6'2". I said, yeah, he is 6'2".
I mean, that's what the druggie was saying. He was kind of trying to describe him, and then he went from 6'2". I think it said something about or maybe a kid, or however he put it, I forget. But it.
He said he was higher than the Georgia Pine,
so the video would be more reliable, right?
Yeah,
right. The video
would be, and that's also interesting too, because if you know Neek, if you're a cop, you've been in the business long enough, and you've probably seen Neek several times. Do you really think that that's Neek running in that jacket?
Well, think about it though, because this is still the 90s. Remember that back in the day, all pixelated. It might not have been all that clear, but they might have just been able to decipher something, grazing by the camera with a white, something jacket on. So maybe they just seen a flash of white across the screen.
I don't know.
So I'm just trying to keep it in the perspective of the time period. They ain't had 4K back then.
No, they didn't. But those PTZ cameras back then, they haven't changed a whole lot, except to add 4K and stuff like that. But it would be interesting to see if it's clear enough to denote whether it is a unique type in terms of size, and then if the footage captures him falling, and they can go back to that area and see what they can find.
I think it poses a lot of questions. Like, why is Detective Howard there? Who is he meeting?
Right, who's he meeting?
If you're going to meet him, did you go there to kill him? Because why do you have this jacket with your name on it? Like, it's a lot of questions that are gonna come up.
And as a defense attorney, you would think that you would, visit all those holes, because, like you said,
even the officers, the police department, they're going to have to investigate all this. And I think there are these questions out there that have to be answered.
Listen,
don't let them search that lake. Don't let them search the lake and find the gun.
Listen, Kanan's DNA, because he fell, his blood is there.
Yes.
And then I'm still
find that DNA.
And
I'm still wondering about Scrap and hoping that he was able to make it to get the car clean, because God forbid he gets stopped on the way there and they find all of Kanan's remnants inside of that truck. Scrap is done. He's toast. So let's just hope Scrap made it to the shop where he was supposed to get the car cleaned and made it in the house, because I don't think he can stand any more trauma than he's already been through. The other thing I was going to bring up was, with Marvin getting arrested, he actually got held up at one of the stops. And lo and behold, Tony, they got him caught up. And, we were sitting up here thinking that, Tony, she tried to record him, a few episodes ago, but he didn't really give her anything that would have warranted him having a search warrant. Warrant for his arrest for conspiracy. Intent to distribute drugs and stuff like that. So
I'm like, say this. This is the reason why you don't snitch, because they did a hell of a job protecting her identity.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, because he knew right away. So you already know she's gonna be taken care of in season
she's
2.
done. She's
Yeah,
done
it
for.
should have been sooner than later, particularly one, because it's, I mean, Marvin could stand to spend some time in jail. He's dirty, and so what are we gonna
But
do?
do we
here?
think this is gonna stick though? Because what
No,
evidence?
because I'm like, they don't have. What do they have on him? I mean,
Basically, only what Tony's word.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I don't know that it's gonna stick.
And we already know she was desperate to get something anyway. From last week, they were telling like, "You better give us something," and she was like,
Black
going as
man.
far as
He's
exactly
a black man in
blackmailing.
New York, and he don't need much, So
No,
That's true too. That's true
They
too.
put themselves in the vicinity, right?
Mhm.
Lulu took himself out of the hospital and put him at the crime scene. Put himself at the crime scene. Rock put herself at the crime scene, even though they don't identify, they don't know her by name, but her face is there. And then Marvin gets caught. So they're all kind of in this area.
Mhm.
So it's going to be interesting how they handle that next season because, their hands are not dirty, but they're all around it.
Yeah,
They
and
can't fool themselves.
And I was gonna say, since Marvin got arrested, Rock was in a tight spot. She had to call somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
I give up.
And this is where we let Ron unleash because Ron has been busting at the seams to go off on Rock.
Look, I have been not criticized, but y'all look. The commenters blew up on me when I, mentioned about Symphony and Rock and you all said, oh, she loves him. She was trying to protect him, yada, yada, yada. I bought into the whole scheme. That's a bunch of malarkey. This woman, look, if you're through with somebody, you're through. And I don't care what position you find yourself. If you're done, you're done. But I knew she wasn't done because the moment she gets into it, who does she call? Symphony. And not only does she call Symphony, she asked Symphony to become a part of this whole mess. I mean, now he's harboring a fugitive and taking this fugitive away.
You're right. I said offline, that was worse than Tasha and Monet. You know?
My God, this woman
she is worse. But Symphony ain't had to pick up the phone.
Look,
listen,
we know. That's why I said
he had to pick up the phone.
Which
he
is
might
why
have
I
just
said,
done it for Kanan though, because him and Kanan now have a bond independent of Rock.
Well,
right, but if he didn't pick up the phone, he wouldn't know why she was calling. Period.
But like I said last week, even though she blasted him like that, he's still gonna love her. He still loves Rock, and whatever Rock asks him to do, he's gonna do it.
It's true, but I understand the perspective of loving somebody and trying to protect them from a harmful lifestyle that you're involved in.
I'm sorry, I don't.
But when you have nobody else to call, Lulu is just got up off of his deathbed. Yeah. Marvin is nowhere to be found. Rock can't go out or else she risks getting pulled in herself by the cops. So it's like, well, who else do you call? Who has no skin in the game?
Right.
Who is clean as a whistle and, wouldn't have any reason to be bought in? Who would I trust in my son to be in their care?
That is so cold-blooded.
It's cold, but she had to do what she had to do.
Cares about Kanan. And she knows that he cares about Kanan. So she was like, and somebody that they would not suspect.
That is so cold-blooded.
It is cold.
It's I don't even have words.
But like I said, it's Symphony had to pick up the phone. Because once she talked to him crazy, he could have been like, all right, I'm done.
I got a good feeling that next season that conversation is gonna go down. He was like, look, I was doing this for Kanan. Screw you, okay?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Look, for him to do what he did, okay, that's a huge step. I mean, you just don't do.
Oh, I guess so. If he isn't a Fed or whatever, and he is a civilian, right. Now he's been pulled into the light.
He's not, and there's no cleaning. You can't clean your hands from that. Now you're just in.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
So now he becomes a target.
And complicit in the crime.
Yeah.
And the crime.
He's complicit, he becomes accessory, and he becomes a target. Because if something happens, I mean, you going down too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I think that, we really got to see, I think everybody in this episode got to see a different side of Rock. I think Jukebox is realizing how manipulative she is. Kanan is realizing the same thing. But he's also realizing, like, I thought I knew my mom, but now I'm really getting to know my mom. Especially when he figured out that whole Detective Howard situation.
Mhm.
He really is gonna have a rude awakening. And then, like, we know Lulu and Marvin, you know, Marvin already suspected that Rock or Lulu might kill him, but now Lulu is having that same realization. And so it's like, Rock is not who we thought she was. You know, she is really gangster.
I'm surprised Tiffany didn't compare Rock and Ghost. I can't hear you. What'd you say?
Y'all
Thinking it, she's a female ghost.
she might be worse.
She might be worse
Because she actually got her child involved. Ghost
right.
never.
She may be worse. She may be worse because
her mother called.
At least Ghost was trying to keep his kids away from the foolishness, and she, you know, I mean, she did try at first, but then this was the ultimate for her to like put him up to trying to kill a cop and his own father. Like, but wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You had something to add, Luanda?
I was saying her mother called it.
Yeah. Yeah, mom's called it for sure. And it was it's interesting to me that her mom thought that for some reason that she was going to be back into the church. And I'm like, I don't know. That's a far-fetched.
Listen, when I was watching it with my son, I was like, she in the church. I was like, man, lightning about to come through that window right now, any minute.
Yeah, for real.
It's funny.
So it's going to be interesting next season to see what goes down from here, because like y'all said, Unique is probably not going to hold his tongue in saying who set him up. You know, Detective Howard, he's probably going to play it close to the chest.
He's not staying in jail because I think the DNA, that's going to clear him. You know, the video, it's too many things. And I think they're going to, you know, I think they're going to play chess with Detective Howard. If he, you know, he may not even survive, who knows? But I think they might use his situation to their advantage, because I think this new captain is going to be a problem.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Because you know, Burke said the other one was like, you know, he didn't want to hear her. He seemed interested. This one was like, well, I'm listening.
Yeah.
And I think he's gonna have his ears to the ground, and I think he's not gonna be afraid to go after folks.
Well, and two, you know, that puts the Detective Howard his back up against the wall, because of the fact that you got to explain, even if you think it was Unique, you have to explain why you were there alone.
Yep.
Right.
With this known drug dealer. What is that all about?
I mean, was it off duty? Could he use that as justification to say I was just in the neighborhood and I rolled up on?
But off duty, why would you be in the presence of a drug dealer and you're a cop? If
no, you could just be walking the neighborhood and he pulled up on you.
No, that's not
right.
I mean, but why were you at that park though? See, you had no business. I mean, not necessarily having business, but you would have to explain why you were at that park at that particular time of night, when that's not something that's not a norm for you.
Because look, I was rendezvousing with some chick. I was leaving her apartment and some cat rolled up on me.
And then who's the chick? Now they want to get into that. Who is she? Where can because everything you say has to be corroborated. So
well, they use confidential informants a lot. So that's the one out that he has if he wants to use it, and that, and that kind of works in his favor. That's because true. He labels Unique a snitch, which is not good for him. So that's an option. I don't know how believable it is, but that's
probably the only option that he can play, because anything else it leads right down a rabbit hole. I mean, that seems to me to be the only logical explanation of you being a detective, being somewhere at that time of night, and then getting shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the new captain said that, he had the heavy hand, that they brought in a heavy hand and he didn't mind.
That's why I said he's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
He's going to be a problem. One of the things that my son said, I thought, I was like, okay, it could be something to this too. The fact that, Marvin is locked up the same time as Unique. So they're both going to be in process, and like, could there be conflict?
I think so.
In the jail between them two.
That would be good.
Would he try? Yeah. Would he try to would Marvin try to kill Unique while he's in there? Because
And it seemed like Unique kind of caught the tail end of Marvin rushing out the door. I don't think he was able to catch a look at him.
I don't think he saw him, but he saw that side door because he looked at it like.
Yeah. And, you know, he knew it had to be somebody from Rock's crew. And he knows that, you know, Marvin is more than likely always going to be her dirty guy that's going to, carry out all the schemes. So I think that would be really good if they were to end up in the same jail together and battling from the inside.
Yep.
You know, Marvin, I think he could probably convince him that it wasn't me because it wasn't Marvin there in the first place. But I think it will be interesting if they're both in lockup at the same time. And, they both have rather explosive attitudes. And I definitely can see Unique, coming up to Marvin and, wanting to do something
or vice versa, because they're at war. And Marvin is volatile.
Yeah.
Because he was early in the season, he was already mugging on him. Like they were already mugging on each other. So I'm like.
And he did say to Rock in that when they were in the church that he in fact he said we got to get rid of him. He's got to go. So he's already on that fact.
And the fact that what they did to Lou, his baby brother,
Yeah.
Family over everything. So
Yeah, this is gonna be wild next season. I am so looking forward to season 2. Hopefully they'll announce, a date soon. But I know we have some other Power follow-ups. I know Tommy's spinoff is probably gonna be the next one.
The next one, I believe
they were filming that.
Yeah, Power Book 2 comes back in November. So that comes up next. And then Tommy's is early 2022. So I think his is like between like January, February, something like that.
So I think they're going to use the time after this season is wrapped up to focus on BMF, which we just did a recap on. So if you guys are interested, go and check out our BMF recap. We attended the premiere. We have some behind the scenes footage from that. Go check that out because it's hot.
Yeah.
Hey, did you notice too? Symphony was actually taking Kanan into Maryland. They were driving into
Maryland. I saw that. I was like,
well, maybe they're going into DC, and this really is a way that Kanan gets his footage, and Jukebox joins him in DC. Because she becomes a cop and a DC cop. So it was interesting when I saw that sign, "Welcome to Maryland." I said, "Oh, okay." So
they coming to our hood.
Yeah, this is where the story begins. Okay.
The DMV.
Our neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this unfolds. They have definitely laid a solid foundation this season. They did a great job introducing us to this life and pulling us in to all of these different characters and storylines. I know that, some people have talked about like other spinoffs from the show and just been critical of it, but I think they killed it. I couldn't have
this might be my favorite book so far.
Yeah.
And I saw some chatter online, some people, I don't know what they were kind of expecting out of this episode. They said it didn't feel like it felt like a finale and stuff. And I thought that they did a masterful job of setting up things for next season.
Yeah.
Oh, lots of cliffhangers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, okay, so I think sometimes people get caught up in wanting to have certain action and people getting killed and stuff, and they forget that you have to do storytelling. Yeah. So you gotta be able to set things up. You gotta put the story forward. Yeah. So I was like, no, this was a good finale because it's clearly setting some things up for season 2.
For sure. Yep. Agreed. Well, thank you guys for watching. Please drop down in the comments. Let us know what you thought about this episode, this finale, and also give us your predictions for next season. Let us know what you think could happen with any one of the characters. We love reading your comments. Please make sure that you also check out our BMF recap that we have just done. That will be loaded probably around the same time. So it should be available. If you're watching this one, click over and watch that one next. Please make sure you also subscribe to our channel, click the like button for this video and the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post. And we will continue to post because, like I said, we're going to be covering BMF now. So that'll be our next series that we recap weekly. So stick with us through that as well. That's another show. If you love this show and you love the tone of it, you'll love that one even more because it's true. It's based on a real story. So follow us there. Also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Oh, and also TikTok now, so that you can keep up with us on social media. We are at The Spot Real Talk on every single one of those platforms. Anybody have anything else to add?
No. Okay.
Well, thank you guys for watching. We are going to call it a night. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.